is an exclusive presentation of Jessup Broadcasting, the sports leader in Southeast Georgia.
World famous. The world famous Butch and Bob Show.
Good morning to you. You're listening to the Big Dog, WIFO FM in Jessup, 105.5 on your FM dial, Big Dog Country Radio, Thursday morning, 19th day of March. Butch Hubbard here with you, along with Bob Morgan on the world-famous Butch and Bob Show, brought to you by Murphy Builder Supply, located on Northeast Broad Street in downtown Jessup, and by Nips Car Wash, located on Highway 301 South, just past McDonald's on the left. And good morning, Bob.
Good morning.
You doing well?
I'm here.
You're here.
I'm here.
You're here. All right. Well, we've got a very special guest in the studio with us this morning here on the show.
Yeah, again, it's election year 2020. Again, we're starting to interview the candidates that are running for sheriff. We got 4 on the Republican ballot, 1 on the Democratic ballot. Hope to get them all in on the world-famous Butch and Bob Show. But today we start with the incumbent Sheriff John Carter, who's been on the show as a regular for the last many years, so appreciate you being here again. Talk about your re-election campaign. How you doing?
Doing fine. Thank you, Bob, for allowing me to be here this morning. It's always a pleasure to be with you and Butch on a early morning, especially a Thursday morning.
Well, hopefully we got listeners. Jonathan says no one's calling in on a birthday. He said everybody's taking off and still in bed. So I'm sure. Hopefully we got a good audience. But again, we want to get you in here and talk about your election campaign. Like I said, you qualified. You were the first one down there that morning to qualify. When it took place, you told everybody several times on our show that you would be a candidate for this re-election campaign. So just, again, re-emphasize that. You know, a lot of people said that you weren't going to run. You said all along that you were going to run. You are running, so.
Well, now it's changed. Now it's changed. Now that I've qualified, it's that I'm going to get elected and drop out. And, I don't know. I don't know where these things get started, but it's hilarious.
Media. That's where these things start. Social media, because people can put anything on there they want. And it was just like Joe Roddy was saying yesterday, do not get your news from Facebook or other social media, because anybody can put anything on there. So probably that's where.
Yeah, I listened to Joe, and he was spot on with the virus going on, what things you should do, and I agree with him 100% with all he did. Of course, we got a lot of things we'll probably discuss in a few minutes that we're doing to try to restrict this virus from coming here.
Which one do you want to do, Bob? You want to talk about his campaign first, or you want to talk about the sheriff's response to the
I really want to go with the campaign first.
Okay, let's do the campaign first.
Let's just answer that first. Is that a possibility? Could you be elected and drop out? I mean, why is that?
Well, yeah, I could do that, but I mean, what would be the purpose? Because you'd have to have a special election, cost the taxpayers money, because the law's real clear on that. It basically says that you have to have a special election within 6 months.
All right.
The chief deputy will be the interim sheriff until they have that special election, unless there's election within 6 months of the time. If I chose to resign, or God forbid I had an illness, I had to do it. But that's not in my future plans.
And that's another fallacy they put out there, that your health. They questioned your health, and I've seen. You hear all kinds of things. So just that record right now.
Well, the last time they put out that I had cancer, they put out, I've heard everything from I'm drunk every day, they had to rope me out of the office, to I've got cancer. I mean, it's unbelievable, some of the things you hear.
Welcome to the world of social media.
You are running for re-election. Tell us why you're ready to serve 4 more years as Wayne County Sheriff.
Bob, I believe in this community, and when I ran for sheriff in 2004, and that was a hard decision, because I really didn't expect my sheriff at that time to retire. But when he did, I felt like that it was what I needed to do, and by the grace of God and the people of Wayne County, they have elected me, had confidence in me to get the job done. There's so many things that need doing, but we have this is the second major time in my career. My first term, we went into a budget shortfall with the some of the things that were happening back in 2006 and 7. So I'm used to being in times of economic uncertainty, of budget cuts, budget shortfalls, not able to get the personnel and equipment that you need. We improved a little bit, and now we're back in that same situation again. and we're fighting that battle. But I don't care who you are or who sits in that office. You can do no more than your resources will allow you. I hear all kind of things. I went back, for example, to 2012. I compared my 2012 budget to my 2019 budget. Our budget's only increased 6.4% in 7 years. Our jail budget's increased 0.9%. I did not do 911 because I took it in 2015 at the request of the county commissioners. So we're working with all those. I've got basically 5 budgets to deal with, totaling about somewhere around $6.5 million.
If you just joined us, Sheriff John Carter in the studios with us, world famous Butch and Bob Show. Again, you've had opposition in the past, but I don't know if you've had 3 people on the same ticket opposition. Why do you think so many people?
I have no idea. The rumor was out that I was retired, I wouldn't be running, and that I was basically lying about running, which was not true. I don't know how many times I was on your show last year that each time you asked me that question.
Right.
And each time I replied positively that I would be running.
Right. And now you are running. Big issue that
think about it is bad news spreads faster than good news.
This is true.
All right, Bob.
I keep hearing these issues about, let's talk about the drug issue in Wayne County. I mean, drug issues everywhere, all across the state of Georgia, all across the nation. So, I remember those, growing up as a kid, I remember those commercials, the war against drugs, and then somebody finally came out and said, we've lost that war a long time ago. So, I mean, it's definitely a problem, not only in Wayne County, but everywhere. So how does the Sheriff's Department deal with the drug issue in Wayne County?
Well, as I said, you only got X number of resources. And now I chose to go to a drug task force, which consists now, when I got in it, it was about 11 to 20-something counties. Now we're up to 48 counties. We go up all the way somewhere around Augusta, Columbia County, at least that high up. So it gives us a lot more resources to draw from. These are GBI-run task forces. They're above board. I mean, to get an agent in there, they have to go through the same background check a GBI agent does, and it's very strict. And so it's tough to get on the thing to begin with. But you get a lot of other resources. Even though you can work with DEA without being in task force, DEA is very connected with these things, and so is ATF and the other 3-letter acronym federal agencies that we deal with. But those are things that I think helped us. But that being said, those they actually target specific people. We're trying to go, and we've gotten about 10 or 12 of them. Just got one this last week off that are major dealers. That's the ones we're looking at with that. Now, the shortage of personnel, like last year, for example, for the first part of the year, I was 8 deputies short, 4 jailers short, and 3 dispatchers short. Which requires a lot of finagling to do. So I wasn't able to get a smaller drug unit here like I wanted. And now I've just got that back up and running. I still need one more person to do that. And getting my canine back up after, we had the death of one of our canine dogs. So getting that trained, and we've got a couple of new dogs. So those things, we're getting up and running on the smaller scale stuff. And by smaller scale, I'm talking about, like methamphetamine with intent to distribute. And I'm not talking about sales, and I'm not talking about trafficking, because that's what the bigger drug task force is working.
We're watching the drug court and following the court system. Methamphetamine seems to be the big drug of choice for some reason. Why is methamphetamine such a big issue?
It's cheap to make. It's easy to get. It's coming out of Mexico now. You don't see a lot of big meth labs, at least in smaller counties anymore, because it's easier, because you're trying to get the ephedrine and ingredients for them. It's easier for us to track, so they don't do that as much. So it's easier for them to make it in Mexico, where they don't have the restrictions on the ingredients they need to make the methamphetamine. It usually comes from Mexico to Atlanta, and it's distributed from Atlanta to who knows where. A lot of it comes to Savannah. A lot of it comes directly from Atlanta into Wayne County. A lot of it goes to Marshawn. A lot of it just goes. It's a big hub that they run the meth out of.
You mentioned your budget. What all does the budget include for the Sheriff's Department? It's not just the department, the court system as well. How's the budget?
We do not have a budget for the court system. So I have to fund the court system. Now, the administrative budget pays the judges and they pay the civilian bailiffs. But as far as my labor costs, from getting inmates back and to from the jail to court, from getting court security people, and we're running roughly 17 courts a month, and about 10 days of those are double court. And those are courts where we have judges. It could be juvenile court, it could be superior court, state court. Sometimes we help Judge Thornton out or Judge Brown if they need us, and they request us sometimes, and we gladly help them. Not only we gladly help them, it's lawful. It's our duty to do it. And then we have a lot of other court, like defects hearings, those type things that we do for another probably 6 days. So about 25 days a month we're in court. Like I say, a couple of those a day. It takes the very minimum you can have. And I'm talking about the minimum, which scares me to death, is 3 people. You got to have a minimum of 3. Usually 5's better, plus your civilian bailiffs helping us with the witness sequestration or attending the juries, whatever it may be. They do a great job.
You've run these campaigns before, so again, as we mentioned, the county's a big county. So how do you get out to see everybody, especially with what's going on with the threat of the virus? So how has that hindered your campaign at all? Or do you still go out and see people? How's that work?
Well, you do the best you can, but you're supposed to keep this social distance now, and shaking hands is kind of a thing of the past right now. I mean, of course, a lot of people still shake hands. If they won't shake hands, I'll shake hands and get my hand sanitizer later. But and that's one of the things that we're doing. We've already done that anyway. We already had hand sanitizer. We just do more of it than we used to, But getting back on the campaign, it's hard to get out there and go door to door and work because this job doesn't end at 5 p.m. in the afternoon. You'll either have a meeting you need to be at or have to go to, or you'll have staying over trying to get caught up after the business office closes at 5. That's when I get most of my work done, or either prior to it opening at 8, because when it opens, you got people wanting to see you. Not as much now with the virus going on, but that's the usual thing. People want to see you or needing help on something or whatever it may be. But it's pretty busy. There's days that I don't even see my chief deputy until the afternoon or after lunch. Or at lunchtime maybe, because I've got a steady stream of people coming to my office and he's busy in his, so we don't really get to interact except in the morning before the office opens.
Well, the presidential primary has been pushed back to the same date as the primaries for the sheriff's race. So do you think that'll help bring out a good crowd to vote?
Well, I think it's the other way around. I think the sheriff's election brings out voters to vote.
Well, being as competitive it is this time, you're probably right there, John.
That's and I've never understood why they have the governor and the county commissioners on the mid-year away from us instead of having it the same time that we run. But
right.
And don't hold me to this, but I was told that the sheriff's office elections brings out more voters, and that's not what the county commissioners want. No, I'm kidding. That is a joking about, but I think it is a joke. I don't believe that's to be the truth, but I don't understand why they split them. But that's
just the way it is.
That's beyond my.
It is what it is.
Ability to change anyway. So.
Well, before we get to what you're doing for help with this virus thing, like I said, people are going to go to the polls on May the 19th. So why should they vote for John Carter for another term for sheriff?
Well, I have 16 years experience as sheriff. I've got another 13 as chief deputy. The Wayne County Sheriff's Office is where I started as a deputy and then worked my way up. I've worked nowhere else. I know that Sheriff's Office better than anybody running. I know the needs. I know, the problems we've had. I know, everything that could be done. But I know about the Sheriff's Office. I know I've managed the budgets. I don't know how many of them managed the government budget as high as $6.5 million, but it's not easy. We're always looking for ways how can we save money and not cut services to our citizens. And that's the main thing. We serve the people of Wayne County. They do not serve us.
Again, as we mentioned, everybody's dealing with this virus. I'm sure the law enforcement has certain guidelines, restrictions, what's going on. I know they sent out to release from the county. So I'll let you go over the details what the sheriff's department's doing.
Well, we had a number of them. We have the guidelines from GEMA, from FEMA, from Homeland Security, National Jail Association, Georgia Jail Association, Georgia Sheriff Association, ACCG. So we've combined. Most of them are pretty close to the same. Some of the things we've done, court is one. I cannot close a courtroom. But we can limit who comes in there as far as if it's not a case that you directly involved with or your family, you don't need an audience of friends and a public audience basically to come. And we tried to discourage that, but by law, I can't stop anybody from coming into court. Now, the other thing we've done is we have work with our judges, our Superior Court judges, Judge Scarlett, Judge Harrison, Judge Kelly, Judge Lane, and Judge Guy, and our local judges, Judge Bennett, Judge Thornton, and Judge Browning, as well as our DA's office, our Public Defender's office, probation, and many other agencies to try to, limit the number of inmates we have to bring out. And they're also they're trying to OR all the inmates that they can. And I've got several orders yesterday to release certain people. And then, the things that they look at before they release anybody is, what's their threat level to our community, what's their, flight risk, and those things that we normally look at when you give any bond. But for those that don't know what OR bond is, it's on recognizance. They let you out on your own with the guarantee that you're going to either come back on what they date to give you or come back to your court date. Now, is everybody going to do that? Probably not, but we'll deal with that at that time. But we're doing video conferencing where we don't have to have the inmates at the courtroom. We can do it from the jail by video and audio. This is the first time we've done it that way, but we've had a few glitches because we got to have the attorney has to have the ability to talk to his client privately. So we got a phone set up where they can talk to their client at the jail, and the attorney will be in the courtroom. So those are type things that we're doing, and thank goodness our judges are working for them. And I can't say enough about Captain Manning, Captain Popple, and my jail staff and all my courtroom people. They've worked hard to get this thing up, as well as my IT person.
Okay, we've got Wayne County Sheriff John Carter in this morning. And right now you're talking about the precautions y'all are taking, the things that y'all have to go through with the Sheriff's Department with the COVID virus, the COVID-19, right?
Right. And, we go, when we go out on calls, obviously we try to maintain a distance. But, there's times if we're affecting arrest, we're going to have to be hands-on.
Yeah, you got to be up close and personal when you're making arrests.
Most of the time we got gloves when we do a search instant to arrest. Well, we do that anyway, but, we'll have we just try to disinfect our vehicles after we transport. We got hand sanitizer, which we've always had, but we just using more of it now and then more. We just see it more.
Right.
So they take and use the hand sanitizer. The other things, we have masks we haven't started using yet, but that's a possibility too. And if we get a diagnosis, and there again, looking at all the guidelines I've seen, diagnosis doesn't necessarily mean you got it. It just means that you're carrying it.
Yeah, we all carry different things that we never spread.
But, until if we have a confirmed case in Wayne County, then that's going to step up the game a little bit, and we're going to have to change some things that we do. And that's the whole community. Of course, I know a lot, the community, some of the restaurants are just doing takeout. Some still have the ability to sit down. So that's their choice until they're ordered not to do it. Mm-hmm. I got texts about a curfew, and I'm not in favor of a curfew at this point in time.
I was trying to do research on this so we can keep our listeners informed that 85% of Americans are trying their best to continue with their regular routine day in, day out, just taking the precautions by the health officials said, with washing your hands, sanitizing, social distancing. If you're sick, stay home, that kind of stuff. But other than that, 85% of the Americans are trying to continue on with their regular routine. which I think is great.
Well, and that's what we should be doing, I think. I mean, we need
shouldn't let fear
to be,
control us.
Yeah, we need to be, we're very aware of the dangers of this COVID-19 virus. So we've taken the precautions that we can take, and we're going to continue to do that. We're going to try to operate, it's not business as usual. We'll do as many reports, for example, a lost tag. There's really no reason for us to be in contact with that person. We can do that over the phone.
Right.
They can come by and get a copy of that report, carry it to the tag office, and do what they have to do there. That's just one small example, but there's many, many reports we could do by phone without having to come in contact with the person.
Right. And, with you hear all these reports about, we're not as bad here in Georgia, and hopefully the governor won't do this, but, mandatory, staying at home, businesses closed up, things of that sort. But a lot of people are at home. You got all the kids at home right now, and teachers and other personnel throughout the county. And people are, stuck in the houses to themselves. There's no attractions or theme parks to go to, but we do know that Jekyll Island is open and for business and doing regular, and St. Simon's, but especially Jekyll. But people can't go anywhere, can't do much. Do you think that's going to start creating tensions in people's homes when you got so many people together for so long?
Well, that's certainly a possibility, and it wouldn't be surprising. It's, happened before when you have, say, we have some of those weeks and weeks of rain, or we have, inclement weather where, I know one January we had 26 days of sub-zero weather where you stayed in most of the time. Those type things do create, close quarter contact will create ill feeling sometime.
Yeah, and, the thing is that we're going to have a spike in babies and divorces within the next year.
But,
because of what's going on.
You avoid the crowds. That's what they're telling you. But, I mean, you got a yard to play in. It's perfectly all right to get out there in the open air.
Well, it didn't stop people last weekend from peaches to beaches, I can tell you that. I don't think I ever saw so many vendors set up. I was talking to a lot of folks about it. So many vendors set up and so many people going up and down it. I'm just glad that there's a lot of folks out there that are not letting fear control their lives, and they're out there doing their regular routine, but, just doing their best to practice the safe tactics.
Well, you got the sportsman blues to us that are sports fanatics.
Yeah.
I mean, we've lost March Madness. We've lost baseball. We've lost the Masters. I mean, these things are having an effect. It does. Hurtful.
It hurt. Bob's over there having the shakes just about. But like he said, he keeps the NFL network on, and luckily the NFL's got all their trade and stuff going on, and keeping sports fans interested in something. But there's no live action. That's what we miss. We miss that March Madness live action. The Masters coming up. Baseball playing and all that. And hopefully in 4 to 6 weeks we can get back to somewhat normal.
I mean, spring sports have taken a lick. I mean, that's a fact. I don't know. I was listening to Bob the other morning. How are you going to do these playoffs? I mean, how do you, if it happens at all? I don't know, because you got so many spring sports that's when the championships take place.
Well, sometimes it's easier for officials to make no decisions than trying to figure out a problem. So it's easier to say, we're just not going to do anything than do something. And so that may be it. I don't know.
Or they do like some of them. You handle it. It's your problem. I mean, we just tell you it needs to be done, but we're making recommendations. But you got to make the decision, because we won't do it.
Right.
I won't get into what Bob said the other morning, but I agree with it.
I just think recommendations just cause chaos. Like I said,
does.
I mean, someone's going to make a decision, but this forum for the sheriff's race set for April 14th. Hopefully that'll continue. Have you heard of any other gatherings of forum?
I spoke at the Republican Party Monday. Now they're planning on having one. I know the Chambers. This one you talking about is the Chambers.
Right.
The NAACP will have one. I'm not sure when. I'm not sure if they're going to postpone it. Well, they can't postpone them too much because it's getting close to primary unless it gets moved.
Yeah. So I guess when everybody's out campaigning now, they just go up to somebody's house, knock on the door, and just nod their head to them, right?
I don't know. I hadn't been able to do that.
Yeah, on the show, that just out of habit they'll put their hand forward.
Sure they will.
I say, we're supposed to elbow. Or if you
or Knuckles or something like that.
Knuckles or that like that. I said, well, it's people who were in our 20s and the 70s with the disco. We could hip bump. Put a little style to it.
Talking about the bump?
Yeah, the bump. Do a little hip bump there. But it's going to be interesting for the candidates locally and statewide and nationwide to campaign during this time and what you're going to have to do. But luckily, you've got media like the radio where you can get your message out to thousands of people and get that message across to them.
Well, we tried. I tried to come on, and we did that a lot. When we had bad weather and stuff, we've come out many times with Chief Ray when he was the EMA director. We've done it with Richard Johnson since he's been the EMA director. So we try to get out here, and because you got a large audience, you reach a lot of people, and that's what we want to do. Of course, we got our Facebook page, and the thing I noticed about Facebook page, you got somebody that's always got the, they don't want to deal with issues or facts. They want to deal with, attacking you personally.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
That's just part of
that's
it.
Part
and,
of social
you better
media.
have thick skin when you run for this, because you're going to get attacked. Your family's going to get attacked. Your office is going to get attacked. So if you don't have thick skin, you don't need to run for this office.
No, basically, any office with social media, you got trolls on there. You got people who, it's amazing. But I don't have Facebook, so I don't have to put up with it.
Well, it's worse than the National Enquirer, actually. In my book,
Yeah, don't get your facts from Facebook.
That's a fact.
That's a fact. Now, that's a fact right there. And I'm not reading that from Facebook. We're just saying it. Don't get your facts from there. It's a great way for people to socialize together, and if people use it that way, that's what it was intended for. But so many people are using it for other things. Bob?
I said, I appreciate you coming in. I said, as you mentioned, you came on several times during the course of the year and stated emphatically you were going to run, and you did qualify to run, so you're running. So, again, you've always been accessible to us. We appreciate you being on the show. We wish you the best of luck in the campaign. We look forward to talking to your opponents. I said we're lining those up hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and look forward to the forums and
Have y'all had
how it plays out.
I'm sorry. Have y'all had a meeting with the EMA in the EMA room about the COVID virus at all? Have y'all discussed anything, or should I just get Sharon on here to talk about what they're preparing? Because
they have. I know they've met with I think the Ministerial Association yesterday, and they've met with some different groups. I haven't actually met with EMA, but we're in contact.
You're all
not
there
personal
together.
meetings.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Richard's at the EMS place. Sharon's
Right.
up there with us, but we're informed with them. I mean, we don't necessarily have a meeting, so called, but I mean we're in touch and talking all the time. But
okay, all right, and but good luck dealing with that situation right there, and the campaign and everything going on. We appreciate you always being willing to come on the show to talk about the different issues that are important to the folks of Wayne County when it comes to the Sheriff's Department. You've been very generous of your time with that ever since you've been sheriff, and we appreciate that. And we look forward to having you back on again and talking about the campaign, but also talking about if anything escalates with the COVID virus situation.
well, we had Monday of prayer time in front of the courthouse about the virus, and and then with I don't know if you've seen how many churches are closing, but because the districts for whether it be Baptist, Methodist, whoever's closing. But I'll say this: there's no greater time in this nation that we need to pray than right now. And I encourage that.
Talking to Ralph Hickox yesterday, and then, of course, I'm a member of First United Methodist Church. On Palm Sunday and on Easter Sunday, I know the two Methodist Church, First United Methodist and the Epworth United Methodist, and the Presbyterian Church and other churches are working to put together a Sunday service on Palm Sunday and Easter service at the drive-in.
Right.
Where people could go in there and sit in their cars, listen to the speakers, over their speakers in their vehicle, or even sit outside of their vehicle if they wanted to, because they're going to have a speaker system set up there, and have Palm Sunday services at the drive-in, and then have Easter services at the drive-in. That's what they're working on. They're trying to work out all the details. Ralph is working with them. He's talked to his pastor, Pastor Mickey, at House of Worship, and they're all working on the details of putting that together and trying to make that a reality where you still can have service, but everybody can stay in their own individual vehicle and still come together as a community of Christians on two of the most important Sundays of the year, Palm Sunday and on Easter Sunday there at the Jessup Drive-In. So hopefully that can happen. If it does happen, we'll have those services right here live on 105.5 FM.
Well, I'm in closing. I'll say this. I mean, I don't think I work with a greater bunch of men and women than the men and women at Wayne County Sheriff's Office. They're dedicated to the citizens of this county. They do a lot more than people know they do. I'll just give you one quick example, and I don't know it because they don't do it for that reason. But they bought groceries for people in need. They have, when they go on calls, they see a need, they take care of it. Sometimes out of their own pocket. And the only way I find out about it is the people they help contact me to thank me for what they did. They didn't come. They didn't do it for recognition, and I appreciate what they do for the citizens of the county. I've got many involved in this community, as I have been involved my entire life before I ever got with the sheriff's office. But anyway, I appreciate the people of Wayne County, and I appreciate the people that I'm fortunate to work with.
Okay, just a couple of text messages here because I don't want to think people to think that we're ignoring them. Will the other sheriff candidates be coming on the show, Bob?
Yep.
Yes, they will. Yeah, Bob's lining those up right now.
Everybody's invited.
Everybody's invited. That's one thing we are. We do have an open chair here on the world famous Butch and Bob Show. And another text that just came in here: a person's view on door-to-door campaigning. Okay. It says, if we're trying to isolate, how can we justify law leaders or anyone running, candidates running door-to-door campaigning? We have medical and school workers working tirelessly, not being ugly. This may need better clarification. So apparently this person right here does not think that candidates should be going out door-to-door.
Well, I don't think it's a good idea right now, for sure. I agree with them. But I can't. That's up to
right
the individual people. But I mean, that's my opinion on it.
Okay, so for right now, at least for the next 2 to 3 weeks, no, and then after mid-April, then we can see. So you agree? All right. John, thanks for coming in. Sheriff John Carter, our guest here on the world famous Butch and Bob Show. Any other final comments, Bob?
No, again, just appreciate you coming in. Like I said, we will help doing our best to get the other candidates in as well. But like I said, common courtesy to the incumbents. So like I said, you've been on the show many times during the course of the year. So we just thought I thought it was proper courtesy to have the incumbent first, but we'll have the other candidates as well on the show.
I look forward to them, and that's the people need to hear from them. They need to make their decisions, So I'm glad they're coming. If they come, I wish them well. I wish them well anyway.
Okay.
And y'all have a good day. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
All right, take care. All right, the world famous Butch and Bob Show brought to you by Nips Car Wash, located on Highway 301 South, just past McDonald's there on the left-hand side. Get your car clean. That's right. We got to clean everything these days, so clean that car inside and out. They got the automatic laser guided car wash there at Nips Car Wash on 301 South, plus 2 self-service bays if you want to do it yourself.
The world famous Butch and Bob Show.